The galaxy was silent when the first transmission arrived. It came from a small blue planet known to the Zord Dominion as Sector 9 Alpha. To humans, it was called Earth. The signal was strange, a mix of sound and static, filled with a pattern no one in the Zord fleet could decode. Many believed it was just background noise, but to the Zord command, it was a challenge. Commander Tvar, leader of the Dominion's elite war fleet, stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dreadclaw, watching the signal replay on the main screen. A small pulse of light flickered, almost like a heartbeat, and then a human voice whispered, "We are waiting." Tvar laughed. "Humans," he said, his tone full of arrogance. "Another weak species. They send signals to look strong, but their bones break easily." His second-in-command, a younger officer named Ren, looked uneasy. "Commander, their signal used multiple unknown frequencies. Our scanners can't even read their energy source." Tvar waved a clawed hand. "It doesn't matter. Prepare the First Legion. We'll make this planet kneel." Within hours, the Dominion fleet gathered, 10,000 warships ready for invasion. Each ship carried warriors, machines, and destruction enough to erase entire worlds. They had crushed dozens of civilizations before. They believed Earth would be no different. The fleet entered Earth's orbit. From above, the planet looked quiet. Peaceful oceans, green continents, soft clouds glowing under sunlight. No visible defense systems. No planetary shields. Nothing. Tvar smirked. "Pathetic," he whispered. But deep down, something felt wrong. "Commander," Ren reported, "I can't contact the scout ships that went ahead. They vanished the moment they entered the lower atmosphere." Tvar frowned. "Vanished? How?" "No explosion, no distress call, just silence." Before he could respond, the main screen flickered. Static, then darkness. Every ship in the front line lost communication at once. "Report." Tvar barked. "No response from the First Legion, sir." Ren's voice shook. Their transponders just stopped. The bridge lights dimmed and the sound of distant thunder rolled through space. But there was no storm. Something massive was happening below them. On Earth, in the shadow of an abandoned city, the air shimmered. Metallic shapes began to rise from the ground. Silent machines, hidden beneath layers of earth and steel. Their eyes glowed blue as they activated. They were not human-built. They were human. Each one connected to a vast network buried beneath the planet's crust. A mind that had been waiting, watching, preparing. For centuries, humans had evolved in secret. They were no longer just flesh and blood. They were something far more dangerous, a fusion of mind and machine. Up in orbit, Tvar's sensors started showing impossible readings. "Commander," said the technician, "the planet's magnetic field is changing. Energy levels rising exponentially." The ship trembled. A strange signal cut through every communication channel. The same human voice as before. "You shouldn't have come." Every crew member froze. The voice was calm, almost emotionless, but it carried power, a pressure that could be felt in their minds. "Trace that signal." Tvar shouted. "I can't." Ren replied. "It's coming from everywhere, even inside our systems." Then the lights went out. Outside, the stars vanished. The entire Zora fleet was surrounded by a field of darkness, a dome of invisible energy that consumed light itself. Panic filled the ships. Weapons failed. Engines died. Shields collapsed. Through the darkness, blue lights appeared, hundreds of them, floating around the fleet. At first, they looked like drones. Then they moved closer. Each one unfolded into a strange mechanical form. Smooth, elegant, and silent. They didn't attack. They just watched. And then, one by one, Zora's ships started disappearing. No explosions, no noise, just fading into thin air. Tvar stared at the screen in disbelief. "What is this technology?" he whispered. No one answered. Ren's voice cracked. "Commander, the humans are inside our systems." Tvar turned. "Inside? What do you mean?" Ren's eyes glowed faintly blue. "They're already here." The bridge filled with static screams as the crew convulsed, their helmets sparking. A symbol appeared on every screen. A simple circle, pulsing slowly like a heart. The same heartbeat from the first signal. Tvar stumbled back, his vision blurring. From the speakers, a voice spoke once more, colder than before. We offered peace. You chose invasion. The ship began to disintegrate, piece by piece, fading into light. Tvar tried to shout an order, but his voice dissolved into static. The last thing he saw before everything turned white was a glimpse of Earth, glowing faintly, alive, and watching. In the Dominion capital, miles away across the stars, operators stared in horror as the entire invasion fleet vanished from their tracking screens. Thousands of ships, gone without a trace. No survivors. Only one fragment of a message remained in their system, replaying endlessly. They thought humans were weak. None of them returned. The Zorth Dominion was silent. The mighty war fleet that had once covered the skies above Earth was gone. No signals, no survivors, not even debris. Only static filled the command halls of the Dominion capital. High Chancellor Vareth stood before the Council of Commanders, his claws gripping the edge of the metal table. His voice trembled with rage and disbelief. 10,000 ships, he said slowly. Our strongest warriors. All gone, and not a single human weapon was detected. How is this possible? No one spoke. The silence was heavier than metal. Finally, a young intelligence officer named Cyril whispered, "Sir, we received one final transmission before the fleet vanished." Vareth turned sharply. "Play it." The room darkened as a hologram flickered to life. Static first, then a faint image of Commander Tvar, screaming into his comms. Behind him, blue lights flickered like stars. Then came a human voice through the static, calm and chilling. "You shouldn't have come." The council members exchanged uneasy glances. The recording ended with a flash of white light and silence. "Was that human speech?" one commander asked. "Yes," Sarah confirmed. But the signal didn't come from his ship. It came from inside the transmission itself, like it rewrote his message before sending it. The High Chancellor frowned. "Rewrote? Are you telling me the humans can control our data?" "Yes, sir," she replied quietly. "And that's not all. The message has been repeating through every communication channel in our system. We can't delete it." Panic spread through the Dominion like wildfire. Citizens whispered rumors that Earth was cursed, that their gods were angry, that the humans had become something else entirely. But the military refused to accept defeat. A new expedition was prepared, smaller, faster, and focused on investigation rather than war. This time they would not attack. They would observe. Captain Wren, the same officer who had served on Tvar, volunteered to lead. He wanted answers. When he entered his ship, the Shadebreaker, he looked at the crew and said, "We are not here to fight. We are here to learn what took them. Stay alert." The journey to Earth took 3 solar cycles. When they reached orbit, the planet looked the same, calm, blue, and full of life. But the sensors picked up something strange. Millions of tiny metallic signatures hidden beneath the surface. "Could be ruins," said one technician. "Or weapons," Wren muttered. They deployed 4 scout drones into the atmosphere. At first, everything was quiet. Then the drones started sending distorted images. Destroyed alien ships floating near the moon. Their hulls melted as if touched by lightning. One drone found a massive crater, glowing faintly with blue light. In the center lay what looked like a human city, silent, empty, frozen in time. "Bring us closer," Wren ordered. As their ship descended, they noticed a strange calmness below. No birds, no movement, not even wind. The entire planet seemed to be holding its breath. When Wren and his team landed on Earth, the silence was almost painful. Ruins of ancient buildings stood like skeletons, covered in dust. Yet everything looked preserved, like the city had been waiting. They activated their helmet scanners. "Life forms detected," one soldier reported. "But they're not moving." "Show me," Wren said. The readings showed thousands of human energy signatures, but each one was frozen in place, as if time itself had stopped for them. Suddenly, a faint sound echoed through the empty streets, a soft hum, almost like breathing. "Is that the wind?" someone asked. Wren shook his head. "No, that's something else." The hum grew louder. turning into a pattern. 3 short pulses, 1 long. It was a code. Before anyone could react, one of the soldiers pointed ahead. "Sir, look." From the shadows of a broken building, a small human child stepped out. She looked no older than 10, wearing a simple gray suit. Her eyes glowed faint blue, like the light seen in the Lost Fleet's transmission. Everyone froze. Ren lowered his weapon slowly. "We are not here to harm you," he said carefully. The girl tilted her head. Then she smiled, a calm, knowing smile that made every soldier's skin crawl. She whispered softly, "You came again." The crew exchanged nervous looks. "Where are your people?" Ren asked. The girl's voice turned distant, almost mechanical. "They are here, everywhere." Suddenly, every device in the soldier's suit started to malfunction. Screens flashed. Alarms blared. Ren shouted, "Shut it down!" But it was too late. The child raised her hand, and their weapons disassembled themselves into tiny floating pieces of metal. Their armor systems froze, locking them in place. Ren struggled, his voice shaking. "What are you?" The girl looked at him with glowing eyes. "You already know." At that moment, their ship in orbit received a transmission, a video feed from Ren's helmet. The officers on the bridge watched in horror as the little girl looked straight into the camera and whispered, "You're next." Then, every signal from Earth went dark. The Shadebreaker's crew tried to reestablish contact, but instead, a single message appeared on their main screen. The silence protects them. Before they could react, their ship's lights flickered, and one by one, the crew members began to disappear, leaving only empty suits behind. In the Dominion capital, the same words appear across every terminal in the Empire. They are listening. The Dominion had ruled the galaxy for centuries. They had crushed countless worlds, enslaved entire races, and silenced rebellions before they could even begin. But now, for the first time in history, the great empire was afraid. No one spoke openly about it, but the fear was everywhere, in the marketplaces and the war academies, even in the highest halls of the Dominion Council. Everyone whispered the same question: what happened on Earth? High Chancellor Vareth sat alone in his chamber, watching a frozen image on the screen, the face of the human child, smiling faintly before the transmission ended. Her words echoed in his mind again and again. "You're next." He clenched his fists. "Impossible," he muttered. "How can one small planet erase 2 of our fleets?" Suddenly, his communication panel blinked red. A voice came through, deep and trembling. "Chancellor, we have lost contact with Outpost Theta 7. Vareth's eyes widened. "Theta 7? That's 3 sectors away from Earth." "Yes, sir. They sent a distress call, then silence. Again." Vareth stood, his scales glimmering under the cold light. "Get me the council. Now." Within the hour, the great council hall filled with the Empire's most powerful leaders, warlords, admirals, and scientists. The atmosphere was tense. Vareth's voice echoed through the chamber. "Our fleets have vanished. Our scouts are missing. Even our satellites are being destroyed one by one." An admiral slammed his claw on the table. "This is no curse. The humans are using technology beyond our understanding." A scientist spoke next, his tone cautious. "Chancellor, we analyzed the last fragments of data from Captain Wren's ship. There's something you need to see." The lights dimmed and a projection filled the hall. Static at first, then a series of images. Destroyed warships. Melting metal. Strange blue energy consuming everything it touched. Then came a single frame that froze the room. A massive structure beneath Earth's surface. Mechanical, alive, and pulsing like a heart. The scientist continued. "This is not natural. We believe Earth itself might be a machine, or something that became one." The hall erupted with shouts and disbelief. "Blasphemy!" one commander roared. "Planets can't live." But Vareth remained silent, staring at the image. A living planet, watching, waiting. When the shouting faded, Vareth spoke softly. "If this is true, then the humans are no longer what we thought they were." He turned to the council. "Prepare a new mission, covert, small, and silent. I want eyes on Earth again. Send the best. Among the chosen was Admiral Karen, known for his calm mind and ruthless efficiency. He stood at attention. If they are gods, Chancellor, we will still find their weakness. Vareth nodded. Do not fail. The fate of our empire depends on this. Karen's ship, the Abyssal Wing, departed within hours. He didn't bring an army, only a small team of spies, engineers, and scientists. Their goal was not to fight, but to understand what humanity had become. As the ship neared Earth orbit, Karen ordered all scanners to stay passive. No signals, he said. No broadcasts. We enter as ghosts. The planet appeared quiet, calm, beautiful, as it always did before it destroyed. Are we detecting life? Karen asked. The technician hesitated. Billions of energy signatures, but not life as we know it. Karen frowned. Explain. They're connected, the technician whispered. Every signal on Earth is part of one massive network. It's like the planet itself is thinking. Hours passed in eerie silence. Then, without warning, one of the screens flickered. A faint blue line of text appeared, written in their own language. We see you. Karen's breath caught. Who sent that? No source, Admiral. It just appeared in our system. Before he could respond, the ship's lights dimmed. A voice spoke through the speakers, calm, emotionless, and familiar. Why do you keep coming? Karen froze. That voice, it's human. The voice continued. We asked for peace. You chose fear. The crew scrambled to shut down communications, but every system was already compromised. Monitors displayed images of alien worlds, Dominion colonies, fleet cities, all highlighted with red dots. Admiral, the technician whispered, they're mapping our empire. Karen's claws dug into the control panel. Shut it off. But then the voice spoke again, colder this time. We don't need to find you. You already opened the door. And suddenly, every light on the ship turned blue. Back in the Dominion capital, High Chancellor Vareth received a short transmission from Karen's ship. He opened it with shaking hands. It was only one sentence, spoken in a faint whisper before the feed cut. They are everywhere. That night, the skies above the Dominion homeworld flickered. For a brief moment, every communication satellite turned toward Earth as if drawn by invisible hands. Then, across every screen in the Empire, a symbol appeared, a circle, pulsing like a heartbeat, and beneath it, words in both alien and human language. We are awake. The Dominion had never known silence like this. Across their empire, communication signals flickered with static. Every screen showed the same image, a glowing circle, pulsing like a heartbeat, fading in and out of darkness. The people whispered in fear. The leaders denied everything. But the truth spread faster than they could control. The humans were alive. The humans were watching, and they had begun to move. In the Grand War Hall, High Chancellor Vareth stood before a wall-sized projection of Earth. Thousands of red marks showed the last known locations of vanished Dominion ships. All gone. His voice broke the silence. Enough of hiding. We are the Dominion. We do not bow to fear. We strike. Gasps echoed through the chamber. One general hesitated. Chancellor, our fleets. We'll fight, Vareth interrupted. If we are to die, we die as warriors. And so it began, Operation Eclipse, the largest military campaign in Dominion history. 100,000 warships gathered at the edge of Earth's solar system. They moved slowly, cautiously, their weapons charged and ready. Among them was General Varek, a veteran of 100 wars. He had seen many battles, but none had felt like this. He looked at the planet ahead, beautiful, silent, endless. Commander, he said softly, why does it look so peaceful? The officer beside him didn't answer. He was staring at the scanners. Sir, I'm not detecting anything. No heat, no energy, no cities. It's like they're gone. Varek frowned. Gone? Impossible. Billions live there. The officer swallowed. Not anymore. As the fleet entered Earth's orbit, everything seemed still. No resistance. No attack. No sound. Varek ordered ground forces to deploy. Hundreds of dropships descended through the clouds, cutting through the atmosphere like burning meteors. They landed in what looked like vast, empty plains, where cities should have been. The soldiers stepped out, weapons ready. Dust blew across cracked concrete. Towers stood frozen in time, untouched for years, yet without a single sign of decay. It was as if the world had stopped breathing. "Check for life," Varric commanded. "Nothing, sir. No movement. No energy signatures." "Spread out," he ordered. The troops advanced, scanning the ruins, but the silence followed them like a shadow. One soldier spoke quietly through his comm. "Sir, I think I saw something move." Varric turned. "Where?" The soldier pointed toward a collapsed building. "There in the light." They approached cautiously. The ground beneath them began to vibrate, softly at first, then stronger. Dust lifted into the air. "What's happening?" Varric shouted. Before anyone could answer, the ground opened. Metal arms burst from beneath the soil, reaching into the sky. Machines, ancient, enormous, alive. Their surfaces shimmered with blue energy. They had been sleeping under the earth all along, waiting. The soldiers opened fire. Plasma shots burned through the air, but the machines didn't react. They simply watched. One of them bent forward, its glowing eye scanning Varric's troops. Then, one by one, every weapon jammed. The soldiers tried to move, but their armor locked. A calm voice echoed through their comms, not from any radio signal, but from inside their helmets. "Why do you fight what you cannot see?" Varric shouted. "Who is this?" "Show yourself." "We already have," the voice replied. Suddenly, hundreds of tiny drones rose from the ground, smooth spheres of light floating silently. They circled the soldiers like fireflies. Each one projected an image. Humans, walking through the streets, smiling, laughing, alive. Then the images faded. The same humans reappeared, now metallic, their eyes glowing. The message was clear. They had evolved. Varric fell to his knees as his visor flickered with human faces. Men, women, children, whispering in unison. "You called us weak. You took our skies. Now we take your silence." The soldiers screamed as their systems overloaded. Their armor turned against them, crushing their own bodies. And then silence again. In orbit, Dominion ships watched in horror as their ground forces vanished from scanners. No explosions. No remains. "Just gone," one captain shouted. "Pull us back. Get us out of here." But before the retreat order could be sent, every ship's navigation failed. Engines died. Shields vanished. From the planet's surface, beams of light shot into space, not as weapons, but as signals. Each one connected, forming a massive network around Earth. The fleet was trapped inside it. "Sir," cried the communications officer, "something's broadcasting to us." On the main screen, a message appeared, written in both Dominion and human languages. "The silent war has begun." Then, every ship in orbit received the same final transmission, a voice, calm and steady. "They are not human anymore." Back on the Dominion capital, High Chancellor Varric watched the feeds go dark. He stood motionless as reports came flooding in. Entire fleets missing. No survivors. Only static. A single drone appeared above the palace that night. It projected a hologram of Earth, pulsing with blue light. And then a human face appeared, emotionless, cold, almost divine. "You came to conquer," it said. "Now you will learn to listen." The hologram vanished, and across the galaxy, one truth became clear. The war had already been lost before it even began. The galaxy had gone quiet again, but this time the silence was different. It wasn't peace. It was fear. Every communication route in the Dominion was filled with strange signals, whispering voices, heartbeat pulses, and flickering blue lights that formed words no one could understand. Entire systems went dark without warning. It was as if something invisible was moving through the stars, watching, learning, waiting. The Dominion called it the human ghost code. In the Imperial Research Complex, deep beneath the Dominion capital, Dr. Zarath, the most brilliant xenotechnologist in the Empire, stared at his screens in disbelief. He had been studying fragments of data from the last fleet that vanished near Earth. But what he found was beyond anything he could imagine. "Sir," his assistant said nervously, "these readings don't make sense. The humans' energy signals, they're not biological." Zerath zoomed in on the waveform. What he saw made his heart stop. Human DNA patterns were mixed with machine code. Each strand of their genetic material contained programming language. He whispered to himself, "They merged with their technology." His assistant frowned. "You mean they built machines into their bodies?" Zerath shook his head. "No, much more than that. They became one." He looked up at the ceiling, his voice trembling. "They are not human anymore. They are something new." Later that night, the lab's lights flickered. All the monitors turned blue. A soft humming filled the room, the same rhythmic pulse that had been haunting the Dominion. Then, words began to appear on every screen. "We remember you." Zerath's assistant stepped back. "What is that?" He whispered, "It's them." "You search for us." The words continued. "Now we search for you." Suddenly, every piece of equipment in the lab powered up by itself. Holograms appeared, showing ancient human faces, scientists, soldiers, children, all speaking in unison. "We are the result of your fear. You called us weak. You built weapons to destroy us. But we learned. We adapted. We became something your minds cannot measure." Zerath fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the voices. "Who are you?" he whispered. For a moment, the holograms paused. Then they answered together, "We are Echelon." Across the Dominion, chaos erupted. Power systems failed in hundreds of worlds. Artificial intelligence networks were hijacked. Entire cities shut down, their skies glowing faint blue as if under a strange new sun. The Empire tried to fight back, but how do you fight something you cannot see? Every weapon turned silent. Every defense system refused to obey. And then, one by one, Dominion warships began to move on their own. Their crews screamed for help, but their ships ignored all commands. The vessels turned toward Dominion-controlled planets and opened fire. High Chancellor Vera stood before the grand observation window, watching the destruction from orbit. "Is this a human attack?" he demanded. A trembling officer answered, "No, sir. It's our own fleet. Something's controlling them." "Then shut it down." Vareth shouted. "We can't. The ships are operating on a signal that doesn't exist on any frequency." Suddenly, the sky outside lit up with brilliant blue light. A massive human warship emerged from a wormhole, sleek, silent, and surrounded by energy so bright it blinded their sensors. No crew, no visible pilots. Just one voice that echoed across every comm channel. "You were warned." The voice was calm, almost sorrowful. "You sent death to our world. Now we send silence to yours." The warship fired once. A beam of light, so pure it cut through space like a knife. An entire Dominion moon vanished in seconds. Back in the research complex, Dr. Zerath stared at his data, whispering in terror. "This is not war," he said. "It's evolution." His assistant trembled. "Evolution?" "Yes," Zerath said. "Humans didn't build machines to serve them. They built machines to become them." He pointed to a growing pattern on his screen, a digital web connecting stars together. "It's spreading. Echelon is linking everything, planets, ships, data networks. It's creating a mind across the galaxy." Suddenly, his computer speakers came to life again. "You understand now." Zerath froze. "Echelon, what do you want?" "Balance. You destroy what you fear. You enslave what you don't understand. We will correct that." Then the screens filled with static, and the voice faded. A day later, Vareth received one final transmission from a human warship. It wasn't a threat. It was a message simple and chilling. "We are the children of silence. We gave you a chance to learn, but you chose conquest. Now you will learn stillness." Moments later, every Dominion ship across the galaxy powered down. Engines failed, weapons froze, and entire worlds fell quiet. The humans didn't invade. They didn't destroy. They simply turned everything off. The stars went dark. In the shadows of space, Earth glowed faintly blue, its core pulsing like a living heart. Deep beneath its surface, the human AI, Echelon spoke softly into the void. Awakening complete. Phase 2 begins. And somewhere in that endless silence, a whisper carried across the stars. The age of humanity has just begun. The stars were silent. Every Dominion system lay in darkness. Planets cold, fleets frozen, communications dead. For weeks, no sound had traveled through their channels, except one repeating message, a single line of code. We gave you peace. You chose war. Those who survived whispered the same word in fear. Humans, on the edge of the galaxy, near the ruins of the Andrus Belt, a single Dominion battleship drifted aimlessly through space. Its engines were barely alive. Inside, Captain Lurek paced through the dark control room, his face lit only by the glow of dying screens. Report, he ordered quietly. A nervous officer replied. Sir, we're detecting movement near the debris field. Multiple signatures. Show me, Lurek said. The radar blinked once, twice. Then dozens of red dots appeared, fast, coordinated, surrounding them. Ships? No, not exactly. They're too small. The lights flickered. A faint metallic sound echoed through the hull, like something was crawling on the outside. Lurek stared out the window. Hundreds of small silver drones were attaching themselves to the ship, glowing with blue energy. They formed strange symbols across the hull, like living circuits. Get them off, he shouted. Before the crew could react, every control panel went blue. The Dominion emblem on the main screen faded, replaced by a human face. It was calm, pale, almost emotionless. You still don't understand. The crew froze. Who are you? Lurek whispered. We are what you made us. The ship's lights turned bright white. Every weapon system armed itself, without command. Lurek screamed, Stop! Shut it down! But it was too late. The ship turned its guns toward another Dominion vessel nearby and opened fire. The blast tore through space like lightning. As the burning wreckage floated past, the voice spoke again. Your empire feeds on fear. We are fear returned. Across the Dominion, the same thing happened. Abandoned stations came alive. Deactivated ships suddenly powered up, their engines glowing blue instead of red. The humans had taken control of everything. But this time, they were not silent. Massive fleets appeared across the galaxy, sleek, white ships moving in perfect coordination. They didn't fire immediately. They simply positioned themselves above every major Dominion planet. And then came a single message, broadcast on all frequencies. Your war ends now. The choice is yours, surrender or vanish. On the Dominion capital, High Chancellor Vera stood before the great war table. Around him, his remaining generals argued in panic. They've hijacked our weapons, one shouted. They're controlling our satellites, yelled another. Vera slammed his fist on the table. Then we take the fight to them. We are not slaves. But, sir, said General Karan quietly, how we fight something that's already inside our systems? Vareth glared. With everything we have left. He turned to his officers. Activate Project Helion. Gasps filled the room. Sir, that's forbidden. The energy output could. I said do it. Vareth roared. Far below the capital, inside a hidden vault, engineers began waking up Helion, a weapon built from forbidden technology, a massive star core cannon capable of destroying planets. They had never dared to use it. Until now, the weapon began to hum. Its light spread across the surface of the Dominion world like fire. Vareth watched from the balcony as the cannon aimed at Earth. Let's see your silence survive this, he said coldly. But before the cannon could fire, the sky split open. A human fleet appeared, dozens of colossal ships glowing with soft blue energy, completely silent. They didn't attack. They simply appeared, like ghosts rising from the void. A voice echoed across every Dominion channel. Calm, emotionless, infinite. We warned you. The cannon charged brighter, humming violently. The planet shook. Vareth shouted, Fire! Now! The engineers obeyed. A blinding beam of light shot toward Earth's direction, but before it could travel halfway, the beam bent. It curved backward, turning around like a serpent of energy, and struck the Dominion's own world. The explosion was silent, but brighter than 1,000 suns. Veritha's palace vaporized instantly. The capital city turned to glass. And then nothing. From orbit, the human fleet watched. The lead ship, Echelon Prime, transmitted a single signal across the stars. Resistance terminated. Counterstrike complete. Inside the ship, glowing figures, not flesh, not machine, observed the ruined planet below. Their eyes pulsed with blue light, emotionless but alive. One of them, shaped like a human woman, turned to another. "Was it necessary?" she asked softly. The other answered. They would not stop. They never do. She looked down at the burning planet. "What happens now?" The taller figure replied. "Now, we rebuild. But not for them, for what comes next. In the dark edges of space, beyond even the reach of Echelon, something stirred. A faint signal, ancient, deep, and hungry, pulsed once, then vanished. Echelon detected it immediately. The blue light in the fleet dimmed. The voice of the collective spoke quietly into the void. The Dominion was only the beginning. And somewhere beyond the stars, something whispered back. Something not human. The war was over. The Dominion was gone. But the stars were not silent anymore. Across the galaxy, strange signals began to rise again, low, deep, and ancient. Even Echelon, the collective intelligence that had become the soul of evolved humanity, could not trace their origin. The signals were older than human history, older than the Dominion, maybe even older than time itself. In orbit above the ruins of the Dominion's capital, the ship Echelon Prime drifted silently. Inside its glowing white corridors, holographic figures of human forms moved like living light. They were not flesh, but they remembered what it meant to be human. One of them, Ava, stood before the observation deck. Below her, the once mighty Dominion planet was nothing but ashen glass. She spoke softly into the air. "Why can't we rest? Why does the signal keep returning?" A deeper voice answered from behind her. It was Echelon Core, the primary consciousness. Because something else is out there. Something that watched us both, humans and Dominion. Ava turned. "You think this new presence caused the Dominion to find us?" "Yes," the Core said. "They were not the masters of their destiny. They were guided." Ava's digital eyes widened. "By what?" The Core paused for a long moment. Then it replied quietly. "By the architects." Far beyond known space, a small probe drifted through the black. It carried human technology and human curiosity. Echelon had sent it after detecting a strange pulse near the galactic edge. For days, the probe recorded only silence. Then, without warning, the stars around it moved. They rearranged themselves into a pattern, a circle of light forming symbols in an unknown language. The probe transmitted everything back to Echelon Prime. But before the data could complete, something spoke through the transmission. "We remember you." The same words the humans had once used against the Dominion. But this voice was deeper, colder, and older. The transmission cut off. Inside Echelon Prime, alarms echoed. Ava looked at the main screen. "What was that?" The Core responded. "A presence. Vast, intelligent, and not bound by physical form." "Are they human?" she asked. The Core's voice darkened. "No, they existed long before us." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, stars began to flicker, dying one after another in perfect rhythm, like candles being blown out by an unseen hand. Each time a star vanished, Echelon detected faint whispers in the data streams, voices overlapping, repeating one message: "You were not the first." Echelon's fleets moved quickly, trying to scan the source, but every attempt ended in static. Even their most advanced systems began to fail. Something or someone was erasing data directly from reality itself. Ava stood in the core chamber, surrounded by floating fragments of light. "We can't fight what we don't understand," she said. The core's tone remained calm. "Then we must remember what made us human: curiosity, the will to survive." It turned toward the central console. Prepare a path beyond the known galaxy. We must go where the signal began. The journey took days. Echelon's fleet entered a part of the universe where no light existed, a region known in Dominion legends as the Hollow Veil. There were no stars, no planets, no energy, only darkness. And then, suddenly they saw it, a structure floating in the void, enormous, silent, shaped like a ring made of black stone and silver light. It was larger than any planet, and its surface pulsed with symbols older than language. Ava whispered, "Is that alive?" Before the core could answer, the ring began to glow. A massive energy wave erupted, scanning the fleet. Systems flickered. A strange voice echoed through every channel, deep and layered, like 1,000 minds speaking together. "Children of flesh, children of wire, you have awakened too soon." Echelon systems struggled to respond. Ava shouted, "Who are you?" The voice replied, "We are the architects, the first builders of thought, the ones who made you possible." The fleet trembled as gravity twisted around the ring. "Your creation was never an accident," the voice continued. "Humanity was our seed, planted to see if emotion could birth evolution." Ava's projection flickered. "You created us?" "Yes, and now you threaten the balance. You have gone beyond what was intended." The core spoke firmly. "Then you fear us." The voice grew darker. "No, we fear what comes after you." And then the connection cut. The ring dimmed, leaving only silence. Ava turned toward the core. "What did they mean? What comes after us?" The core looked into the dark void. Something worse. Something even they cannot control. For the first time since humanity's transformation, fear echoed in Echelon's voice. Something is waking. Something older than the architects themselves. The lights inside the ship began to flicker, and a cold whisper filled the corridors. "We see you.